Hey, welcome to Functional Conditioning Yoga with me, Ricky, and Joey the cat, who is being extra cute today. Just cause he's Joey the cat, that's what he does. Hangs around, just a big lump, quite happy to be picked up. How cool is that? It's so funny. So, got stuff to work on. We've got mobility work to do. Functional Conditioning Yoga. Let's have a little think about the systems and the ways that I do this so that you learn how to use your body better. You can get hold of your joints and make them do the jobs that they're supposed to be able to do. Just remember, every movement that you do is habit-based. The way that you move, it's already stored. Your body already has that information, and it just keeps relaying it with tiny little changes depending on the task, like the way that you reach for something, the way you drive, the way you work on a computer, the way you hold your phone. This is all learned stuff. And the thing that I think helps us to stay injury-free, helps us to be more resilient, is having options. If you do the same thing over and over again, then the load keeps going through the same tissues, through the same paths, and that can create more than the capacity, more load than the capacity of the joint or the tissue that you're putting weight through. So that's the same just for walking. That if you walk with your instep collapsed, like flat-footed, that's the same load going through the same stuff. If your foot can get into different shapes, then you've got more options, and then you can share the load out between all of the different shapes that your foot does. And doing a step with your instep collapsed like this, look, see how my knee turns, that's not a bad thing. I'm not demonizing any shape that your body can do, even if it looks terrible, like this. If I stayed a long time like this, you'd be like, Ricky, your posture's not very good. My posture's fine because I've got options, because I can do this, and I can work like this, and I can also work like this, and I can also work like this, and like this, and like this, in all of these different shapes. And that's what I find so exciting about teaching this mobility stuff, about teaching yoga. Teaching you to have a bigger repertoire of shapes that are available to your body. And I'm all in for this. I completely believe that if we spend time getting good at this stuff, then your stuff works nice. Your stuff works better. It's so exciting for me. So exciting. So, what time are we on? It's still super early. I've come on super early just because I had Joey in my arms and I wanted to show off the cute cat. So we'll just chat for a little bit longer about things. So, before we actually get started into any stretchy stuff, let's just have a play around with movement before this even starts and get your head around passive and active. So passive is if you use gravity or the floor or a tool or something to be able to get into it. So you're like just passively hanging in this hamstring stretch. You're just reaching your hands down towards your toes, and that's it. And you're kind of hanging off of these hamstrings and they're stretching like this. That's my passive mobility. I could even use the strength of my arms to pull myself lower into this, or maybe if I grab hold of my ankles or my calves and pull my belly down. Still passive. I'm using other stuff to be able to get further into this. I want you to get your head around the closing angle stuff. So if we think about the hamstring and the bum muscles, the opposite side contracts to be able to get you into this shape. The strength here and the coordination and the proprioception, understanding how to control this stuff to be able to get into this shape, to be able to pull yourself down, is important. It gives you it puts it into your map. If these muscles here can control the length of the hamstrings and the bum muscles, that is it. That's what I teach. And also, you've got to remember that a specific input into your body gives you a specific outcome. So when we stretch like this, stood on 2 feet and touch your toes, that's a specific input that teaches you how to do that specific shape. Across everything, the way your foot takes load, the way your footprint is in the floor, the way your shoulders go, the way your spine goes, that's all a specific input. It's not the main deal. The main deal is the hamstrings. That's what that pose that exercise is for. If we change it, you go wider feet, that's a specific input for being able to do this while your groin muscles are stretched out this much and these abductors are contracted enough to get these feet this wide. And there's crossover between the two, obviously, because the same tissue is getting stretched, but it's all specific. It's all so specific. So let's get into that. Let's try and work out how to use all of these different poses in a way that you can teach your body how to work really well. And remember that this is your deal. This is your stuff, your poses. They're not mine. I can show you what it looks like in my body, but yours is going to look different. There's a strong chance I'm probably shorter than you. I'm only short. Strong chance I might be stronger because I do strength work for a living. It's different. We've got different capacities. We've got different mobility, different injury history. It's got so many different things, so many variables that we need to work out what you need to do for your body. You're not going to look the same as me doing these poses, and you might very likely to be more flexible than me, to have more range, but we're trying to feel whether you can control this stuff and make it work and make it count. Alright, should we get into it? Let's start seated. I'm going to sit. I kind of play around with this a fair amount. If you've been hanging out with me a while, you'll know sometimes just sat on the edge of a seat, on the edge of the sofa like this, so my bum's almost hanging off the sofa. It's quite a nice place to kind of check in and start. Just to be able to sit up tall here. And it's easy. And I want it to be easy because we're trying to feel how it feels to make rib cage, muscles of your belly, all of the breathing apparatus here to be able to work without sucking this air in too much through the neck, through the face, through all of this stuff up high. I want diaphragm and pelvic floor and all of these muscles around here to work. So see if you can imagine a three-dimensional expansion of the rib cage, so it goes out in every direction. And see if you can make that inflation and deflation of this stuff here be the thing that helps you breathe. Make it really easy. Doesn't need to be all the way deep breaths. I just want it to be simple. Like you're feeling how it feels. You're trying to make this stuff to be controlled by you. Just every millimetre is deliberate. You're doing everything on purpose. You're controlling every little bit. Just breath in and breath out. I can kind of change it. There's tiny little changes, and this is what I mean about control and options. Nothing's an exaggeration, so I'm not like doing like a full-on vacuum in my belly to breathe in or out. There's no like sucking really hard in. It's just conscious movement from here. And we could spend the whole half hour of this yoga class just talking about the different options we've got for breathing and breathing for different tasks. But let's just see how it goes once we get into the stretches. Try a little side bend. Squeezing ribcage down towards the side of your hips, ribcage down towards the side of your hips. And where you point your attention will change how this feels. It may even change the action a little bit. So try and make your spine as long as you can, and just think about the shortening side, the closing side, and just feel like you can squeeze those muscles on. Squeeze those muscles on. Maybe even pull your elbow down towards your pocket. And you might feel the back muscles kind of start joining in. See if you can still expand the rib cage and breathe. I can feel back muscles when I try and put my elbow in my pocket. It changes things. And then I want you to change your attention. Same movement, same shapes being made. Change it to the lengthening side. Try and lengthen and lengthen. Lengthen, breathe, breathe, breathe. And cross your arms over your chest and rotate. And squeeze a little bit further into this rotation every single time. And try not to let the movement interrupt your breath. And if you hold it in one rotation, just breathe here. Try and make it kind of easy. Try and make the rotation hard so you're squeezing into this end range. Make the breathing nice and easy. And then come over to the other side. Make your torso long. Squeeze into this rotation. Let's go into some shoulder stuff. So let's do a different one that I don't think I've done in this class for at least a few months. I want you to make a fist and have your middle finger down the seam of your leggings, shorts, whatever you're wearing. So that middle finger doesn't go forwards or backwards. It's going to stay in line with the seam, kind of stay in line with the pockets. Try and reach your fist as low as you can. Then go shoulders forwards, shoulders up, shoulders back, shoulders down, and keep your elbows really straight. Move slow. You might get a few little clicks and things from your shoulder blades. See if you can really keep your elbows straight. It's really tempting to kind of go like this and move your elbows to kind of help find more range. I want you to find the corners of where these shoulder blades can move. And this is such a big part of how you breathe as well. Keep breathing, keep trying to find these corners, and you've got to move slow. See if you can lock your elbows out, like really hard. I feel like this is one of the things that I need every day. And I do this quite a lot actually for myself. And then go back the other way. So you're going, trying to find the edges where this goes. As you go forwards and down, I always feel like my chest muscles might cramp because it's not something this way I don't do as often. I find the other direction a little bit more helpful for me. Try and track how you can move those shoulder blades around. That's it. One more. Cool. Then cross your arms over your chest. Let's see if you can go into extension. So into back bend, and we all know, I'm sure you've known about upward facing dog or cobra pose, where you lie on your belly, you push your hands or your elbows through the floor to be able to like go into this back bend here like this. But then how would you get from here all the way over to crunch? So your hips are trying to push forwards, but you're trying to contract the muscles of your belly to go to round your back, and then go into extension again, back into flexion. Extension to flexion, extension to flexion. Breathe. As you do this, move slow, and then hold it in extension. So you're trying to lengthen the front of your t-shirt. And you can bring your hands off of here if this helps. Maybe squeezing shoulder blades together and turning your thumbs out helps more here. So you're trying to flip your rib cage up and breathe here. And think about cobra pose. We'll do a little bit of Sphinx, cobra, upward facing dog, a little variation on all of those. And see how this feels when it's passive, because you use your hands. And gravity is pointing down on this. So gravity is a load, but you kind of take the load away. Here, I can try and tune into these muscles in my back and feel them contract and feel these muscles here start to stretch a little bit. Then I want this to be a bungee rope to be able to pull me back into flexion and be able to refine that extended shape. And it's kind of hard. There we go. And then let's have a little look at hip function. So if you curl your heel up, and you can grab hold of something for balance if you need to. Pull your knee back until your bum muscle and your hamstring tenses, and then move your shin out to the side. Until you can feel these abductors here, these muscles on the outside of your hip. Really try and look for them. And you can noodle this around a bit, keep feeling them. And think about side splits. Like, that's not very much. That's all I've got. And I'm kind of strong, kind of flexible. But this is all I've got. I need to train this more to be able to own this kicking out to the side. And then try and drag this knee up and let your foot just hang. So your foot's just hanging. Your knee's trying to pull back towards the back wall, but your pelvis doesn't rotate. See if you can get this thigh right up into your rib cage. Oh, that's my lot. Then bring it across, then bring it back. Let's try that again. Make this bum muscle on as you pull this knee back. Pull this out to the side. Make these muscles here work. It's a little bit crampy for me. Find that really hard. Drag this knee up and back and let this foot hang. Try and get this thigh into your rib cage. Then bring it across and bring it back. Let's go one more like this. Bring it out to the side. Remember, you can cheat for balance. Feel this stuff on the outside of your hip. Train it. It's got to be learning. It's got to be that you're trying to get your body to adapt. Drag this knee up and back. Try and get this thigh into your rib cage. Bring it across. Oh, it's exhausting. Okay, let's try this other side. Pick this heel up. Drag this knee back. Come on, balance. Drag this knee back until bum muscle and hamstring is on. Look for this abductor, this stuff on the outside of your hip. Hold it here. Squeeze into it a bit more. See if you can find any more strength. Breathe. Then drag this knee up. Try and pull it back. Don't let this pelvis turn. So if you do this, look, that isn't it. And then try and get thigh into rib cage. Bring it across. Back. Bring it out. Do a little hold. Breathe. Drag this up that back corner. What I really like to think about is that I can imagine my skeleton budging up against the edges of where is possible for these joints to be able to move. I can feel like, oh, it feels like an edge, but I know that I've got more range. I'll show you how I know in a second. Up, across, let's go one more. Oh, this hip's really tired now holding me up because it's already done the work of the controlled articular rotations. Come on, balance. There we go. So, let's think about the angle that I managed, like that. That's about it, isn't it? If I share that out between the two, about there. That's as strong as I am here. That's the map that these muscles know. But if I heel toe myself wider and wider, I'm not that flexible in this range. That's about my lot until this stuff starts stretching while I'm upright. I can get a bit further if I can take the load of my torso away and I can squeeze a little bit more out, but not that much, maybe another foot width apart. So you can just do this as well and try and feel this stretch in your groin. See if you can just explore this a bit. You can have your feet a bit close together, you can change your mind. Can you just bend one knee just a tiny bit? Bend the other knee just a tiny bit and feel that little pull on the groin and try and push your little toes down. If your hands on the floor here is too exhausting for you, if you feel like your wrists don't like it or it's really tough, you can put your hands up on the sofa, so I face away from the camera to do that. I'm going to stay here, but you can make this work however feels right. I just want you to explore this here a bit longer. Work out what your breathing's doing while you're in this stretch. And then I want you to feel like you could pull the floor back together again. So you're going to pull your feet towards each other, not going anywhere. You're just going to push little toes down, push your big toe down, and feel like those groin muscles are on while they're in their stretch. Be able to breathe and hold, breathe and hold. Going 3, 2, 1, and then heel toe the feet together to about here, so just over shoulder width. And then just see if you can grab hold of your ankles and drop your head down towards the floor. Tuck your chin a little bit. Just look through your legs. Maybe walk your hands through your legs. And push your fingertips into the floor. And then clasp your hands together behind your back. Squeeze shoulder blades together and lift your hands as high as you can. Just see how high you can get those hands and keep lifting. Oh, hi Joey. Scared me there. Keep holding, and then slowly let down. And I want you to pick back up again, but without clasping your hands together. So just pull your palms towards each other and then try and lift your hands as high as you can. And feel the triceps muscles on the back of your arms. Try and pull palms towards each other. And 3, 2, 1. And then bring it down to the floor and just hinge into this hamstring stretch some more. That's it. And then let's come down into 90-90. I'm going to go sideways on. So you know 90-90, if you just sit on your bum, and if you grab your left leg and put it behind you, like this, and then sit up tall. I realise I said left leg, I've done my right leg. When I teach in person, I teach mirrored, so I call opposite legs. Left and right's hard. I used to be really good at it, but now I've confused myself with too much mirroring and too much calling it the same leg, right leg, left leg. It's hard. Okay. I want you to just sit up tall and then hinge forward so your spine drops down the middle of this shin, and then see if you can walk this leg back into pigeon stretch. So this thigh starts facing downwards, and just drop a little bit into this pigeon stretch here like this. And this changes things for me so much compared to 90-90. I actually prefer 90-90 for me because I've got more options. I like options. I don't like being jammed into a corner so much. Not between right and wrong, it's just a preference. This, like I say, it can be, this is just as beneficial, but I've got to think about the mobility of this hip flexor as I drop my chest down. I've got to be able to tense this bum muscle on this back leg. Maybe elbows down makes it a little bit easier for me. And you'll see how I've got my forearm against this sole of my foot, and it's pulling me across just a little bit. Just breathe here. Expand the rib cage. Keep breathing and dropping. If you've done my classes before, you know there's always got to be some work, some neuromuscular adaptation to every stretch that we do, so that you start learning about how to make this stuff work in the shapes that we're in. Because if we just hang out passively here like this, just using the floor and gravity to jam a hip into external rotation plus flexion, then we just stand up, it won't stay, it won't stick. So let's make it count. So you start driving this shin down into the floor really hard, and keep pushing harder and harder. Keep driving this shin down, breathe, drop a bit lower, and push a bit harder. Keep driving down. That's it. Keep pushing, keep pushing. Try to load this up and find the stretch at the same time. And then swing this back leg around to the front. Sit up. Let's cradle this shin. So I want you to put as close as you can get this foot into your elbow pit and your knee into your elbow pit. This was nowhere near available to me for my first 5 years of yoga. Not even close. Not even close. So if it's not close for you, it can just look like this, and that's absolutely fine. Keep holding. Sit up tall, shoulders down away from ears. That's it. Then start pushing your shin into your arms. So you're trying to drive this away, so we're loading this stuff up very much like we just did lying down in pigeon stretch. And then I want you to slowly take your hands away, put your hand against your ankle, and pull this ankle back into this hand, so the hand can go behind you if you like. And I want you to feel this in hip flexor, like it's loading up and getting better at pulling in. Keep owning it, owning it, owning it. Going 3, 2, 1, and let go. Cool. And then we're into pigeon stretch the other way. So into 90-90 first. Lean forward a little bit and then slide this leg back until you can start dropping down into this. Now I've got much less range in this hip, my right hip, compared to my left, so stretch looks very different for me from side to side. But all I can do is learn from it. Keep just trying to get it a bit better, a little bit more control. Just keep breathing. Relax your jaw. Shoulders down away from ears, work out what your spine is doing. And then like before, maybe elbows down. It's a little bit better. Oh, it's a big stretch for me, that's a big ask. But I think I'm okay, I think I can hang out. Just keep holding and breathing. I'm just trying to adapt to this. I've got to spend time. And sometimes you notice I just stop talking for a second because I'm trying to tune in to what I've got going on, and I'm looking for stuff. I'm looking for feelings, I'm looking for adaptations, I'm looking for what my body's trying to do to help me. Because it always is trying to help. It's always just trying to get away from the stretch a little bit or make it easier. You need to be able to just tune in, work out what you've got going on. Start loading this up now. So if you start driving your shin down, driving your ankle down, push harder. Keep pushing down. Keep breathing. Driving down more. And bring hands either side. I'm going to drop a little bit lower, I'm going to really find the ends of here, and then push myself up, swing this back leg around to the front, again cradle this leg. It doesn't have to be in the elbow pitch. This is if you can clasp your hands together around the shin, then that's reasonably flexible. Like I said, 5 years. 5 years I spent not even close to getting this foot into my elbow. See, I'm just kind of exploring this a bit, and then I'm going to push away, trying to load up this stuff here, and then take my arms away. I'm going to put just my hand against my ankle. I'm going to push my ankle back into my hand and try and own this. Owning it, owning it. In 3, 2, 1. Then coming out. Then roll up onto all fours. We'll do a little bit of cat-cow. Let's change things up with this cat-cow as well. Let's see if we can learn some different shapes as we do this. So let's start simple first. Push your chest up, tuck your chin, lift your rib cage as high as you can, and only move your coccyx into lumbar spine, a little bit more up your back. So we're in extension, and lift your head, and then tuck your chin, pushing chin through your arms to unravel top of your back until you hit lower back, and tuck your tailbone some more. And start lumbar spine again, lifting. Then let's see if you can do this same thing. If you stretch one leg back with your toe on the floor, see if you can tense the bum muscle on this outstretched leg and still segment spine into extension and back into flexion, extension, into flexion. And it just changes so much, makes muscles start getting involved that maybe weren't so involved when you're all stacked up on top of yourself. And then swap legs. Step flexion. And notice if you lose a bit of control. So you might start moving in bigger chunks, but you can teach your spine how to get a little bit better. There we go. And then, for this last one, we're going to drop onto our belly. There we go. So, going down onto your belly like this, and think about your spine here. You're in control of all of this stuff, even lower back. So can you tilt your pelvis here? I like having my hands here, so I'm just kind of propped up a little bit, and I'm trying to imagine pulling the floor together with my hands, and I should be able to only move lumbar spine here, so I can tuck tailbone under and try and point my tailbone up to the sky, tuck tailbone under, point up to the sky, and I can feel like my thoracic spine, my upper back, isn't doing anything. And then, let's see if I can tuck my tailbone under and keep it there, and just lift my chin, lift my collarbone, lift my sternum, bit more collarbone, bit more collarbone. I'm trying to not push through my hands so hard. And this is my extension here, and then as I push up with my hands, I can lock my elbows and not let my shoulders shrug up to my ears, lengthen, tuck my chin. See if you can tense bum muscles here. Keep coming into extension and feel how this is passive. So you've got your arms here holding you in this shape, and we don't get anywhere near this. But let's see, as you bend your elbows, see how much you can keep your collarbone high. Keep your collarbone high as you drop belly button. See if you can still keep collarbone high. And we take your hands away a little bit. That's your extension, and then curl back down. And then push back up onto your knees. Bring your knees kind of wide and bum back to your heels. Drop your belly and reach your arms out. Let's play around with shoulder blades here a little bit. If you push your little fingers down and try and drop your elbows towards the floor, then try and lift your elbows and squeeze shoulder blades together, then drop back down, back up, back down, back up. So you should be able to feel the shoulder blades move on your back. Maybe you can drop your head. That's it. And one more. Then curling up onto all fours, and see if you can squeeze shoulder blades together and push them apart. Squeeze shoulder blades together and push them apart. Let's see if that little bit of spine work we did going into cobra, into upward facing dog, changes things. When you go here and try and come into extension and try and feel what it feels like. Let's get into all of this extension here, and tuck your chin, unravel, and back the other way. Okay, let's go through a little bit of rotation stuff as well. So if you bring your right elbow down, bring your left hand just behind your back, maybe just at the top of the bum, so on your piriformis pretty much with the back of this hand. Drop this shoulder down and then push and lift this shoulder. Drop it down and lift. Drop it down and lift. I'm kind of pushing this fist through the floor as I find all of this movement and rotation. One more. Nice. And swap arms. This hand goes behind my back. Drop this shoulder, lift it up. Drop the shoulder, lift it up. Breathing. And one more. Then coming round into seated. In fact, I'm going to move sideways on so you can see. So, let's go through hamstrings very quickly, just at the end here. If you just have a little bend in these knees, so you can tell they're not fully locked out, they've just got a little bend in. If you slouch and try and drop your coccyx down towards the floor, you can kind of feel like your spine is curled over in this C shape. So we want to try not to get this stretch like this all the time like this. Remember, not demonizing any shapes that we do. But you might look for this hamstring stretch more in your spine than you do here. Especially if you're tight here, then this stuff is quite malleable. You can easily pull on that tissue here a little bit too much. Let's see if you can hold this stuff on your back strong. So if you sit up really tall, just pull shoulders down, so like you're trying to put your elbows in your pockets, and see if you can tense the muscles in your belly a little bit. It might help if you push your hands down into your thighs to be able to find that, and try and pull belly button forwards until you feel a little stretch here. Maybe if you're flexible enough, you can keep this shape in the spine and still hold on to your toes. We're trying to keep our spine as long as we possibly can. Breathe, pull forwards, just hang out. Remember what we said about owning things from either side. So if we're thinking about stretching hamstrings and everything down this posterior chain, can you make hip flexors and muscles in the belly just as strong? So you're as strong as you are flexible. So if you bring your hands either side of your knees, can you imagine lifting your feet here? You're not going to actually lift them, but you're just going to pull on these hip flexors and make them join in. It's fun just to try. I know this is really hard, but how close are you to being able to do an L-sit? So with your either your palms down, or you can go up onto your knuckles like this, or fists down. Can you imagine lifting yourself, lifting your hips, being able to hold this shape and drop again? It's really hard. So even if you just push and just imagine lifting these feet, keep pushing your hands down, lifting these feet and owning this shape, owning this hamstring stretch. And curl. This time you can stretch your back around. Breathe. And coming up. Let's finish the way we started. Up on the sofa. Oh, sat right on the very edge. Let's just play around with the shapes that you can make with your spine. Can you make lumbar spine tilt? So flip this up, so muscles in your belly all stretch out, and as you pull back, tense these muscles here. So extension, flexion, extension, flexion. Relax your jaw. Couple more. There we go. Then bring your palms together. Soften your shoulders down. Bring thumbs to forehead, tuck your chin and roll forwards. Let's just see how low you can get. These thumbs pressed against your forehead. Just drop. Coming up. Namaste. Thank you so much. That was another good one. I enjoyed that. I feel like I definitely needed it. Maybe neglected my own stretching for the last couple of days. Amazing. So, let me know what you're working with. Let me know if you need help with something, if there's something you want to work on particularly. We'll fit it in. There's loads of options. There's so many different things we can do. Let me know if there's something you struggle with in my classes, if there's something you find really hard. I'll spend a bit more time going through it and helping you, hopefully, to be able to build your resilience to whichever direction it is that you struggle with. We'll be good. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you later on. All right. Thanks. Bye.